Hi, everybody. We are still doing the linear functions, and I'm on section S4, which is finding the slope between 2 points. Yeah, I assume they're going to give me 2 coordinates, and I'm going to find the slope between them. It is very important, everybody, that you practice your integers before you attempt this. If you haven't mastered your integers and you're still wondering, is -3 plus 4 -7 or 1 or -1 or what is it? You need to go back and practice adding and subtracting integers. It is extremely important. Um, we never do subtraction, and if you don't know why, you really need to go back and find out. So that's my advice, but I hope that you'll join me and find the slope between 2 points. And again, I don't preview these, so it's kind of a surprise. So here we go. Basically, most people, when they learn this, they learn a formula, and they're going to substitute very carefully into the formula, and they're going to find their slope that way. And that's fine. But eventually, you're going to come to the point where you're going to want to not have to substitute in and go through the steps one slowly after the other. The slope is the rate of change in a graph. And the slope is usually defined as something like rise over run. You'll sometimes see it written as the change in y over the change in x. That little symbol means change. But a lot of textbooks are going to write it like this: y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. These are subscripts. They're different x's and y's. Because we have 2 different points here, you see this first point says x and y. Each one of them is a 9. But then the second point says that x is 3 and y is 10. So because we have different x's and y's, we have to identify them. A common mistake for this is to do the subtraction in whatever order people feel like. And in this particular case, it's really important to subtract in the same order, whichever order you choose. It doesn't matter which one you call y1 and x1, y1, and x2, y2. It doesn't matter. I'm going to call this one x1, y1, and this point over here is going to be x2, y2. And we're going to substitute these in. y2 is 10, and y1 is 9. And I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around them to start with. Now, eventually, we're not going to write any of this down, and I hope that you won't have to. Now, my x2 is 3, and my x1 is 9. And we end up with 10 minus 9 is 1, and 3 minus 9 is -6, and that is -1 over 6. These are the same. Now, what you're going to see is in a lot of textbooks, they're going to write that negative out in front, which I don't recommend. It just happens that they write it like that because it's easier to put it in a textbook that way. When they go to do the when they are typesetting the book, it's easier for the printer to put it like this. But this is more correct. This is not wrong to put the negative in the denominator, but it's better to have it in the numerator. Now, it says that we're supposed to simplify our answer. So make sure that if you can simplify the fraction, you should. Well, this one is -1/6. Now, a lot of people say, well, what if I had done it backwards? What would happen? Well, look, it doesn't matter if you subtract in the other direction. And in fact, a lot of times I use arrows to indicate my subtraction direction. So if I take 9 minus 10, sorry about that, 9 minus 10 over, dang it, stop that, there we go, 9 minus 3. Notice the arrows are going in the same direction. Now this is a little bit simpler version of the same thing. I get -1 over 6, which happens to be the same. It doesn't matter which one you take first or second, just as long as you go in the same direction. What's important is to make sure that those subtractions are going in the same direction. Okay, so negative 1/6. Oh, there we are. Negative 1/6. All right, I'm going to do it one last time. I'm going to go ahead and subtract it one more time by substituting it. Now, from now on, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and I could slowly put the numbers in the parentheses and then simplify. Now, a lot of people need to identify the points, and this one is going to be x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 is 6, y1 is 13, x2 is 8, x1 is 5, and it looks like we get negative 7 over 3. And that's a perfectly acceptable way to do it, but that isn't the way I do it. What I do is I say 6 minus 13 is negative 7, I do in my head, and 8 minus 5 is 3. And you'll notice that this is a lot more efficient than all of that. If you need to, you can always write it out. There are times when this is important, but in this particular case, I'm just going to put my negative 7 over 3. Oops. Oh, there it is. Negative 7 over 3. Now, I'm going to do my subtraction a little bit quicker. So I'm going to write my slope is 2 minus 3. Now, it's important, remember, 2 minus 3 is negative 1, and 3 minus 8 is negative 5. Now, I've got a negative over a negative, and hopefully you know that that is the same as a positive over a positive. That's 1 over 5. Notice if I subtract these in the other direction and I take 3 minus 2, I get 1, and 8 minus 3, I get the 5. What's important here is that you go in the same direction. Doesn't matter which direction, just as long as both subtractions are done in the same way. Now, it would probably count it wrong if you put negative 1 over negative 5. Even though it's not wrong to count your slope that way, it's not wrong to write it, but this is a more simplified version. So 1 over 5. Okay. So let's see. That one is going to be 7 over 9. Done. It should be that easy for you. Look, 8 minus 1 is 7. 10 minus 1 is 9. There you have it. 8 minus 1, 7. 10 minus 1, 9. 7 over 9. Now, the bad news is you can't really write that as a decimal because it's 0.77777777. So it's better to just write it as a fraction. This one, we're going to subtract and subtract. They both end up being negative, so we're going to end up with a positive slope. I end up with 2 minus 7, which is negative 5, and 6 minus 10, which is negative 4, and that is 5 over 4. Remember, it's always the change in y over the change in x. Now, some people are going to say, well, that's 1 1/4. Well, you first of all, you can't write mixed numbers. You could write it as a decimal, but it's almost always better to write your slope as a fraction because it really is a rate of change. It's the change in y over the change in x. So this time I have slope 4 minus 7. You know what that is? You should. It's negative 3. And 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Again, we had 3 over 5. You need to reduce that. And I guess I'm going to show you something just really quick. Hopefully you can visualize a 3 over 5 slope. That means that going from, let's go from 6, 7 to 1, 4. 6, 7 is located about there, and 1, 4 is located about here. Now, if I go, what did I do? 6, 7, that's about right. Oh, I see, I didn't go up high enough there with that, that's the problem. Okay, so 1, 4, if this is 6, 7, there's 1, 4. Okay, now if I count this direction and I go down 3, I have to go back 5 to get to here. That's down 3, back 5. But I could also go up 3 and over 5, which is 3 over 5. I just wanted to show you that both of these are on the same line. Anyway, you can count your slope either direction. It's usually better to count from left to right, but you can't always tell which one is which when you're just looking at the points. Anyway, you're over 5. Moving on. I know, too much information. So we're going to do it a little faster now. I've got 3 over 4, and I'm done. Do I need to draw the arrows for you? Looks like 7 over negative 9, or if I go backwards, I'm going to get negative 7 over 9. I like the negative 7 over 9 better. I just subtracted 5 minus 12 is negative 7, 10 minus 1 is 9. Can you do 16 minus 9? That's 7. And 2 minus 8 is negative 6. It's negative 7 over 6. There's nothing magical about being able to add and subtract your integers. It just takes a little bit of practice. Practice a little bit, you'll be able to do it too. Looks like we have 4 minus 9, which is negative 5. That's the change in y. Over the change in x, 10 minus 1 is 9. And we're done, negative 5 over 9. Okay, we've got 7 minus 2. You write it. 7 minus 2 is 5. And 1 minus 9, that's their negative 8. I like putting the negative in the numerator. Negative 5 over 8. Oh, now we get a little more interesting numbers. Some people are going to just grab their calculator automatically. Don't necessarily do that. This one's not that bad. Negative 3 minus 93 is negative 96. And negative 36 plus 35. Be careful. Notice how I say it. I don't like to say negative 36 minus negative 35. I prefer to say negative 36 plus 35 is positive 1. So I just get negative 96. I'm not sure if they'll count it wrong if you put the 1 in the bottom, but it's probably better. Oh, sorry. My goodness. I said negative 36 plus 35 is negative 1. I definitely have to reduce this to positive 96. I don't know whether they're going to count it right if you put 96 over 1. They probably would, but I'm just going to put the 96, and it should be okay. Almost made a mistake there. Got to stop talking sometimes. All right, 36 minus 27 is 9. And 41 minus 26 looks like 15, huh? Now, the bad news is that's not reduced. You got to reduce that fraction by dividing by 3. That's 3 over 5. And just double check my 15 here. 15 and 26 does make 41. Yep, looks like it's 3 over 5. Now, you could just grab a calculator and turn your brain off, but I think it's good practice to do your subtractions. 15 minus 49 is negative 34. And this is a slope, of course. We've got negative 53 plus 11, which is going to be negative 42. Now we've got a couple of little issues here. You've got, first of all, both of these are even numbers, which means that it's definitely needs to be reduced. And I also need to get rid of those negatives because they're both negative. So I'm going to divide by negative 2 in the numerator and -2 in the denominator, and it'll get rid of the negatives and it will reduce it. So I've got 17 over 21, and that is as far as you can go. I recognize 17 as being a prime, and I can't reduce it any further. So we've got 17 over 21. Hopefully I didn't make any silly errors. And we're moving on. All right. Oh, darn. It looks like I'm getting a little lag. So I'm going to write a little bit slower. So we've got the 47 minus the 43. That looks okay so far. 47 minus 43 is 4. This is the slope. And we've got -85 plus 86, which is really 1. So it's a slope of 4. This is equal to 4. Shall we test it and see if it'll take 4 over 1? I would think it would. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, that is reduced more or less. All right, so we've got, you're gonna find that it's probably easier to go from right to left. If you noticed, when I go 85 plus 6, it's probably easier than taking -6 minus 85. Doesn't really matter which direction you go. And since I happen to notice it, I'm going to go ahead and go in this direction. That is 85 plus 6 is 91. And -38 plus 39 is 1. So I'm done. That is my slope, 91. Oh, I am getting lag. That is 91. Either one is correct. You could write it either way. Okay. This time, I think I'm going to go this direction, because that's going to give me a positive in the numerator, isn't it? That's going to be -33 plus 65, which is 32. That's a positive. And 93 minus 29 is also a positive, and it looks like it's 64, huh? But that can be reduced. How fast, how far can you reduce it? A really good practice is rather than doing it piece by piece by piece, some people are going to say, oh, they're both even, so I'm going to divide by 2. But what you really want to look for is what's called the greatest common factor. That is the biggest number that goes into both of these. Did anybody see it already? You see 32 goes into both of those. These are both powers of 2, and this is 1/2 when I divide by 32. So it looks like it's 1/2. Did I make a mistake? I don't think so. Oh, it's just giving me that weird pause. Every once in a while it gives me a little heart attack when I'm thinking I made a dumb error. 95 minus 15. Notice I'm going in this direction. Some people like to write the arrows. I think that it's not a bad habit to get into so that you can make sure that you don't accidentally reverse your direction. So I've got 95 minus 15, and hopefully you can do that in your head. Do it in your head, don't wait for me. Some of you watching this without turning your brain on, that's 80. And we have 51 plus 17, which is going to be, dun, 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 come on, 51 plus 17 is 68. And it's definitely, we can divide by 2, but it just so happens, it looks like we can divide by 4 in the numerator and the denominator. If I divide 80 by 4, it looks like 4 goes in there evenly. 4 goes into 80 20 times, and 4 goes into 68. Let's see, 1, and then it goes into 28 7 times. So 20 over 17. Obviously, we could have done this in piecemeal. If you divided both of these by 2, you would have gotten 40 over 34. And of course, then you can go to the 20 over 17. It is important to go all the way, though. We have to reduce the fraction as much as possible. So 20 over 17. It's okay. This one, I'm going to do the 83 minus 4, which is 79. And then 67 plus 10, which is 77. And it's looking good. I think 79 is a prime. That means it's not divisible by anything other than 1 and 79. The only things that go into 7b7 are 7 and 11. Those are the factors. So this is already simplified, and it looks like we're done. 79 over 77. Okay, oh, looks like we're getting there. Now we've got a subtraction. I'm doing it, you'll notice I like to choose to go in the direction that makes the most sense to me. 91 minus 23 is going to be 68, I believe. At any time, if you feel like you really need to, a good idea is to go ahead and use the margins on your paper or do a little bit of basic arithmetic. If you can't do the 91 minus the 23 in your head, write it down. Don't grab your calculator for this sort of thing. This is just no. 3, you have to borrow. That makes that an 8. That makes that an 11. 3 from 11 is 8. And 2 from 8 is 6. And 68 is your difference. Now 38 minus 37, hopefully you won't have any trouble with that. And you get a 68 for your slope. We're getting there. This time I'm going to go in this direction. And the reason I'm doing that is that I really want to think of this as not negative 39 plus 51, but rather 51 minus 39, which is 12. It's just so much easier if you learn to manipulate these in your head a little bit. And 82 minus 79 is 3. And that looks like 4. If you wanted to see what I did with the 39 and the 51, what I did was I said, negative 39 minus negative 51. Now, some people are going to literally grab their calculator and start pressing buttons. That's not a real good plan. Well, that happens to be the same as negative 39 plus 51. But in my head, what I did was I said, well, that's the same as 51 minus 39. And because I've practiced a lot, what I did was I said, well, this is a lot like 50 minus 40. And I'm manipulating the numbers to make it work out. Anyway, I'm thinking that's 4. Hopefully I didn't make a dumb error there. Did I make a mistake? Oh. All right, so we've got, I'm going to go this way for a reason. That's going to give me a slope. When I take negative 57 plus 58, I get a 1. And negative 37 plus 36 is negative 1. So that's just negative 1. Come on. And we're getting there. Got a few more. I'm going to go in this direction. That's going to be 12 again. The difference between negative 44 plus 56 is 12. And I still have to go in this direction. And I've got a positive 74 and a negative 68. So can you see the 6 in your head yet? Practice a little bit and you'll be able to, I promise. It's 74 and a negative 68, and I'm putting them together. Now, what I did was I'm looking at the difference, aren't I? And you see how to get up to 70, I need 2, and then I need 4 to get back, so that makes a total of 6. Anyway, hope that makes sense to you. And that's a slope of 2. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to go in this direction. That's going to give me 2 slope. Hopefully you see why. I'm taking negative 96 plus 98. And then I have to go in this direction. And that's going to be 99 minus 19, which is 80. And we get 1 over 40. Now, a lot of people are going to automatically turn that over. You can't. This is 1 over 40, which is a very different thing from 40 over 1. That is 1 over 40. And we've got 99 minus 3 is 96. And 56 plus 8, be careful, is 64. Now, it just so happens that 8 goes into 96 and 8 also goes into 64. Now, if you didn't see that, you could divide by 2 and divide by 2 and divide by 2. But if you notice that 8 goes into 96 12 times, and 8 goes into 64 8 times, I can now divide. Oh, 32 goes into both of those. Hopefully somebody saw that and said, nah, Jemison, you're slow. 32 goes into both of these, doesn't it? So anyway, divide by 4 and divide by 4, and we get 3 over 2, and we're done. And looks like maybe 2 more. All right, looks like we've got 31 plus 9 is 40. And 98 minus 9 is 89, huh? Ah, 89 is prime. Learn to recognize those prime numbers and save yourself some time. Some people are going to grab their calculator. Seriously, some people are going to do this. They're going to take their calculator and they're going to go, oh, 89 divided by 3. And then they'll try 89 divided by 7. And then they'll try 89 divided by 11. And they'll try 89 divided by, who knows, 13. And none of them are going to work. 89 happens to be a prime. And it is definitely 89 and 40. So slope is 40 over 89, can't be reduced. And one last one, it looks like, maybe 2. I'm going to go this direction so that my positives are bigger. That's going to give me the slope. It's going to be 6. Oh, now I end up with a negative. 7 minus 46, which is negative 39, huh? And we can divide by 3. I'm actually dividing by negative 3 so that my negative goes in the numerator. That's going to be negative 2. Dividing by 3 gives me 13. And looks like we might be done. I'm just going to double check my work. 7 minus 46 is negative 39. And negative 77 plus 83 is 6. Yeah, looks good. This might be my last one. Let's see. Nope, got one last one. And it's going to be 93 plus 2. That's going to be m is 95. And we got negative 20 plus 21, which is 1. And I hope you guys will try it yourself and practice your integers. Your life will be so much easier. I promise it'll be worth it in the end because it's going to save you time through the entire course. Think about all the time I've saved because I can do integers in my head instead of pushing buttons and turning my brain off. So I hope I've convinced you. Got to put in my answer, I guess. And it's always a good idea to check your last answer. That is 93 minus negative 2, which is 95, and negative 20 plus 21 is 1. So 95, and I'm done. I hope you'll try it and practice, and I'll see you back again. Bye-bye. There we go.